Week 2 of the NFL kicks off with Thursday night football between the New York Giants and the Washington football team. We break down the game and give you our best bet, and it all starts right now. Hey guys, it's Matt from GrandstandBetters.com, and week 1 of the NFL season is in the books, and we start week 2 with some Thursday night football action. Before we get to that, just a reminder that if you're new to Grandstand Betters, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our NFL picks and predictions all season long. While you're at it, smash that like button if you are ready for Thursday night football. But without further ado, let's dive into Thursday's matchup between the New York football Giants and the Washington football team. And Saquon Barkley and that Giants, they're going to travel to FedEx Field to take on Chase Young and the Washington football team. Both teams suffered losses in week 1. The football team losing to the Chargers 20-16, and the Giants absolutely getting destroyed by the Broncos 27-13. Both these teams are going to look to bounce back this week to get their first win of the season. Now, as has been the case for what seems like the past decade, this should be a close game between these two NFC East opponents. Now, the game is a 3-point favorite right now for the Washington football team, and the over-under is set at 40.5. If we start with the Giants football side of the field, they really could have not started off their season any worse, losing at home to the Denver Broncos by 14 points. This is a game you have to win if you're the Giants. If you have any chance of winning your division or a wild card spot in the playoffs. Now, their offense did not look great as they only put together 2 successful drives in a game, which they only amounted to 13 points. In the second half, though, they did look a little bit better. They had 2 drives that actually ended in the end zone, but not with any points. It ended with a turnover on downs, and the other was a fumble by Daniel Jones. So that's not going to show up in the box score and tell the whole story, but they did play better in the second half. But the red zone play is definitely a problem right now for the Giants. Now, that's been a consistency for Daniel Jones and the Giants, especially when they play better defenses in the NFL, which they're going to play here with Washington this week. Now, they have the pieces to move the ball down the field with Saquon and wide receivers like Sterling Shepard and Kenny Galladay, but this team is very prone to make mistakes. Their defense as well looked promising last season, but coming into that game against Denver, they gave up 255 yards passing to Teddy Bridgewater and 165 yards to the Broncos' run game. They were able to get a fumble recovery very early in that game, but they only forced Denver to punt the ball twice in the entire game. Now, with a week under their belt, that defense, we think, is going to definitely step it up a little bit better and play like they should, but their offense seems much further behind. With Evan Ingram out again and Barkley most likely getting limited reps again this week against a very good Washington run defense, we do not see their offense putting up a lot of points. Again, unless Daniel Jones somehow surpasses and surprises us against that Washington secondary. Now, if we look at that Washington football team, the big headline, which everybody knows, is definitely the loss of Ryan Fitzpatrick for at least 6 to 8 weeks after he took a hard hit in that Chargers game, dislocated his hip. That means Taylor Heinicke will start for the football team, and he did play a little in week 1. He adds a different dimension to this team, one of which is different than Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick lacks the running ability, and Heinicke does come in with the running ability, but he has yet to win an NFL game or at all in his career when he starts. He did play well in the playoffs last year. He had a good chance last week to get a win, but they need to clean things up in the red zone. Washington football team had a lot of chances in the red zone last week against the Chargers, but they had to kick 4 field goals. They missed one of which as well. So they had a lot of trips in Chargers territory against a 23rd ranked defense, could only put up a few field goals as the only points really, and that's not going to work against a Giants defense that ranked 9th in the NFL in red zone category last year. So it's going to be a little more difficult for Heinicke this game, but their defense should pick them up. They were one of the best in the league last year. Their front seven looked very good in week 1. Justin Herbert did some damage to their secondary, but they have a much easier quarterback to worry about here with Daniel Jones. I would just make sure you put a spy on him, as Daniel Jones can run a little bit better than Herbert. If their secondary keeps Shepard and Galladay in check for most of the game, it probably is going to be a long game for the Giants. Now, their offensive line looked all right last week, but they did give up 2 sacks to Von Miller, so they better watch out for Chase Young and other Washington rushers who's going to put pressure on Jones to get rid of that ball early and probably force some errant throws. Since 2010, only 8 of their meetings between the two have gone over that 40.5 points, which is set at the over-under right now. In addition, both their Week 1 games would have stayed under that total, and they have 2 of the worst offenses in the league last year in putting up points on the board. The Giants ranked 31st, only putting up 17 points per game last year. Washington football team, not much better, ranked 25th with 20 points per game. Now, the under bet is definitely the bet you want to place if you're following the trends, and in this case, although we like to go contrarian, we're actually going to follow this trend as well. The Giants and the football team's offenses are not the most lethal in the NFL right now, and their defenses, on the other hand, can be solid and should be more solid here in Week 2. Both teams have good secondaries. We can expect them to put a lot more pressure on the quarterbacks, which could result in probably more plays that cost or take more time off the clock. So our Thursday night best bet between the Giants and the football team is under 40.5. Now, Grandstand Bettors is going to be doing a live play-by-play and live betting watch-along for this game, so feel free to join us right here at Grandstand Bettors on YouTube at 8:15 Thursday night. And also, don't forget, sign up for our NFL betting contest. We're only 1 week in. You can sign up free through week number 4 of the NFL season, and you have an opportunity. The grand prize is $1,000. So head on over to grandstandbettors.com, sign up for that contest. Shout out to Greg K, 5-0 in week 1. He leads everybody. So we look forward to those bets getting in for week number 2. Sign up for the contest. But as always, sit back, relax, get ready for week 2 Thursday Night Football, and we'll see you tomorrow night.